New at 5:30, couples across our area celebrated Valentine's Day.
They did, but police also responded to the familiar calls of domestic abuse. WSBT-22's Zach Crenshaw is at the live desk right now. And Zach, you looked into how this crime is impacting our area.
Yeah, Jennifer, it's one of the more hidden and prevalent crimes in our community. An Elkhart police officer estimates his department responds to 3 domestic abuse calls a day. Police say, unfortunately, there are probably even more that go unreported. For St. Joseph County Police, domestic violence is almost routine.
So at least one every day, day and a half, something like that. Those are the ones that wind up actually in a domestic violence report.
There are even more calls that wind up not technically fitting the criteria.
To be a domestic violence complaint in Indiana, there are certain specific parameters that have to be there. There has to be an intimate relationship between partners.
Police say one of the challenges with domestic abuse is it doesn't always lead to an arrest or charges. But even in those cases where officers have to be a, quote, counselor, they say it can help prevent a further crime and is part of their job.
That's part of traditional police work. That's part of the service that we're supposed to provide. We'd always rather be called sooner than later, and we would rather go on 10 calls where we're not needed than to not get called in time for that one when we really are.
So when should you get police involved?
If they hear loud voices, if they hear crashing, if they hear screaming or crying, we want them to call the police. That's why we're here.
You may not always see or hear domestic violence, though.
It's not just physical abuse, although certainly that's a part of it. There's also psychological abuse. There's also financial victimization.
Police say it's important to look out for your neighbors, and when it comes to calling 911, err on the side of caution.
We're better off being there than not being there.
In St. Joseph and Elkhart counties alone, there are roughly 2,000 domestic violence victims in a shelter. On average, though, only 8% go to a shelter. So the number of domestic abuse incidents in our area is likely well into the thousands. At the live desk, Zach Crenshaw, WSBT 22 News.